Hi everybody, welcome to Easy Algebra. Here are some of the examples. I've included two examples of solving general equations with fractions. The previous video included how to solve general equations, but this video will include how to solve them when they have fractions. In example number 1, 2/3 x minus 2 equals negative 6. This has a fraction as a coefficient for this variable. I'm going to show you how to do that. If you follow the rules, you can solve these type of problems every single time just by following the exact same steps. Once again, we're solving equations, so we're going to have x equals a number as our answer. The first thing we have to do, we're just going to move right along, is we're going to isolate the x, or the variable. So 2 has been subtracted, so we're going to add 2. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do the same thing to the other side. This leaves us with 2/3 x, because the 2's cancel, and equals negative 6 plus 2 is going to be a negative 4. Okay, now we're down to the fraction. Because x has been multiplied by 2/3, we need to isolate x. So we have to eliminate this 2/3. The easiest way to isolate x and get rid of the fraction as the coefficient is to multiply both sides of the fraction by the inverse, or the fraction flipped over. 2/3, we take the 3 and put it on the top, 2 on the bottom. That gives us 3/2, and we're going to multiply that by 2/3. Whatever we do to one side, we have to go over here and do the same thing to the other. So we have multiplied by 3/2 over here. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is also 6. And that gives us 6/6 times x. Well, obviously these 6's cancel, so that eliminates the entire fraction. Just by multiplying by the inverse will leave us with x isolated all by itself. So you can do that every single time you have a fraction as a coefficient. Okay, on the other side of the equation, we're going to multiply this out. Negative 4. Always in any whole number, if you put the 1 on the bottom, that helps you out when you're multiplying fractions. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. 1 times 2 is 2. And then we're just going to simply reduce. X equals negative 12 divided by 2 is a negative 6. So our answer for this problem is negative 6. We can check that real quick before we move on to make sure it's right. We're just rewriting the original equation. Wherever there's an x, we're going to substitute our answer in negative 6 and see what we get. So we have 2/3 times x. So I'm going to multiply it by negative 6. Since it's a fraction, we'll go ahead and put it over 1 just to make it easier. Then we have minus 2 equals negative 6. So let's multiply this out. 2 times a negative 6 is negative 12 over 3 minus 2 equals negative 6. Negative 12 divided by 3 is a negative 4. Minus 2. You can already see how this is coming together. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. This is our check. This is a true statement, which means that our answer of negative 6 is correct. Those checks are always very, very nice when you're solving more difficult problems or confusing problems. Okay, let's move on to example number 2. In example number 2, we don't have a fraction as a coefficient. We don't have any coefficient actually, but we're going to solve this in a similar way. Once again, because we're solving an equation, we're going to end up with x equals a number. The easiest way to do this with any fractions like this, when you have an equation, is to go ahead and let's just get rid of the fractions. If we can just get rid of the fractions and deal with whole numbers, that will make things much easier. So the way that you do that is we have 1/2 plus x equals 2/3. We are going to find the common denominator between these two fractions, the lowest common denominator. Well, right off the bat, we can look at it. This is halves and this is thirds. So we can multiply the 2 times the 3, which equals 6. So 6 would be our common denominator, a 6 on the bottom. That means we could have the like terms. And in order to get that, we can do this very, very easily. Once we determine that the lowest common denominator, LCD, equals 6, all we have to do is multiply each term in the entire equation by 6. This will eliminate our fractions. It sounds confusing at first, but once you see how it works, it makes things much easier. So we're going to have the 1/2. We're going to multiply it by 6 plus x multiply it by 6 equals 2/3. Multiply that by 6. And with this 6, it's a whole number, so we're just going to put it over 1 because we have to multiply with fractions. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. Plus, x times 6 is just 6x. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3. Now we're just going to reduce real quick. 6 over 2, we'll end up with whole numbers across the board. It's 3 plus 6x equals 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Now we have the exact same equation, it's just written without fractions, which makes things very nice. So what we're going to do is now we can go ahead and solve. This is a positive 3, so we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. That's going to give us 6x. 4 minus 3 is 1. X has been multiplied by 6, so we're going to divide by 6. Both sides. That eliminates the 6. We end up with x equals 1/6. And that's our answer. And we can go ahead and check this. If you check this, it's much easier just plugging it into a calculator. 1/2 times, however you want to do it. Because the calculator will do all the common denominators for you. But you can go ahead and check this just to verify that it is a true statement. But this shows you how to work with your fractions. It's very common for students to have problems with algebra that has to do with basic math skills. And it's also very common for students just to skip equations with fractions in them because they're not sure how to do fractions. Well, don't do that because you'll lose valuable points in your homework when you do that and on your test. Just go ahead and solve. Once you figure out how to do this, this will work no matter what the fractions are to work, if you find the common denominator, and if you just use that inverse anytime you have a fractional coefficient of the variable. I'm going to include some more examples of the next part of general equations, solving general equations, in the next video, and I'll give you some links and provide you with some links also. Let me know what you think, and thank you very much for watching.